Many people wonder why some live past 60, 70, or 80 years. They see friends and peers pass away while they stay behind. They watch the world change and shift around them. This often leads to a hard question. Why am I still here? Some feel glad to be alive. Others feel lost or sad. They wonder if their life still has a point. Society tells old people they are no longer useful. People think a person's value ends when their strength fades. But God does not see it that way. He does not look at age or physical power to find a person's worth. If you are breathing, your work is not done. Your life is not a closed book. There is a logic to how God keeps people alive. He does not do it by chance. Every year added to a life has a goal. There is a plan behind the timing. You might feel like your best days are over. You might feel that people forgot you. You might feel the weight of your old age. But your biggest job might be right in front of you. Some roles require a level of maturity that young people do not have. Wisdom comes from time. It comes from years of trial and error. Some people need the help that only an elder can give. Someone's freedom or faith might depend on the lessons you learned over decades. This kind of authority cannot be rushed or bought. The Bible shows that long lives are often strategic. Noah lived a long time because the world needed a man of truth during a time of evil. Moses stayed alive to lead a whole nation out of slavery. Anna the prophetess lived long enough to see the Messiah. Her old age was the exact time God used to fulfill her goal. Elders hold a special weight in the Spirit. They carry memories of battles fought and prayers answered. They hold a history of tears and wins. This is a living record. When a person lives past 60, they stop being just a story. They become a witness for others. Later years often make the heart softer. An old person might understand things they resisted when they were young. This makes them better at listening and obeying. They become tools that can give warnings or blessings to the youth. The younger generation needs this guide. Some people reach 70 and feel a gap between them and God. They might say they do not hear Him like they used to. They feel their purpose is gone. Silence does not mean God left them. Stillness is not a sign of rejection. Often, God is just moving them into a new spot. He is getting them ready for a new task. Consider a man named Elias. He was 74 and lived in a small village near the woods. His friends were gone. His family lived far away. He used to be a strong blacksmith. He spent his youth shaping iron with fire. Now his hands shook and his back was bent. He felt like a shadow of his old self. Elias asked God why he was still alive. He felt he had nothing left to give. He waited for an answer for a long time. The sky seemed silent. Then one morning, he felt a nudge in his heart. It was a soft push. It felt like an invitation to do something new. Elias felt a push to go toward the forest trail behind his house. He knew the path well from years of walking it. This time felt different. He had a feeling that something holy was waiting for him. He grabbed his wooden staff for support. He stepped onto the dirt path and started his slow walk. The woods were full of life. Birds sang in the trees. Leaves rustled in the breeze. He could hear the earth crunch under his boots. It felt as if the whole world was watching him and waiting for something to happen. After walking for an hour, Elias heard a noise. It was a soft cry. It sounded like a small animal in pain. He followed the sound to a clearing. There he found a boy about 12 years old. The boy sat on the ground with his face in his arms. He was shaking and trying to hide his sobs. Elias walked up to him with care. He asked in a soft voice if the boy was hurt. The boy looked up with red, swollen eyes. He told Elias he was not hurt but was lost. Elias helped the boy stand up and asked for his name. The boy whispered that his name was Micah. Elias saw a backpack on the ground nearby. Micah explained that he ran into the woods to get away from the screaming at his house. His parents had fought for weeks. He felt like no one saw him or wanted him. He felt overwhelmed. He walked too far and could not find his way home. Elias stayed quiet. He did not rush to answer. He knew from his own life that deep pain needs room to breathe before it can go away. When Micah stopped talking, Elias told him that he felt the same way at that age. His own home was full of anger. He used to run to quiet places because he thought no one cared. He told Micah that he was not alone or forgotten. His voice had a weight to it. It was the voice of a man who had lived through storms, loss, and loneliness. Elias took the boy's hand and led him back. They walked slowly. Micah stayed close and leaned on the old man's arm for comfort. As they walked, Elias told stories about his past. He talked about his hard times and the mistakes he made. He spoke about finding forgiveness and the God who helped him through everything. Micah listened with wide eyes. He had never heard anyone talk about God with such warmth. It did not sound like the sermons he heard at home. It did not sound like a preacher talking from a pulpit. It sounded like a real story told with humility. When they reached the edge of the village, Micah's parents were searching for him. They were frantic. When they saw him, they ran to him with tears. They hugged him and said they were sorry for the stress he had to carry. The father looked at Elias and thanked him for saving his son. Elias shook his head and said he just walked where God led him. This meeting changed the family. It started a process of healing. The father got help for his anger. The mother found her strength again. The home became a place of peace. All of this happened because an old man obeyed a feeling. Elias had thought his life had no meaning left. A few weeks later, Micah came back to visit. He brought a notebook. He told Elias he wanted to write down everything the old man said so he would not forget. He said Elias knew things that he needed to learn. Elias was shocked. For years, he felt like a fading shadow or an old relic. Now a young boy wanted his wisdom. Micah was not drawn to the strength of his body, but to the strength of his spirit. Days became weeks and weeks became months. Elias and Micah became very close. The village noticed that the boy was changing. Other children and adults started visiting Elias too. They wanted stories, advice, and prayers. His home became a place for people to find help and laughter. One evening, as the sun set and turned the sky orange, Elias felt that same nudge in his chest. He felt God's presence. He realized why he was still alive. He whispered a prayer of thanks. He saw that he was kept on earth for influence and legacy. He was there to pass on wisdom that only old age can give. Elias learned that youth builds strength, but age restores it. Young people have passion that starts fires, but elders have the steadiness that holds things down. One generation moves things forward, while the other makes sure they go the right way. His purpose did not end when he turned 60. It just changed. God had planned this long before Elias was born. He wanted the later years of his life to be the most impactful. He was preserved to help someone else have a future. Many people think the elderly are less useful. This is a mistake. God keeps them here because their full purpose is finally ready to be shared. The Bible shows that old age is not about decline. It is about glory, endurance, and a clear purpose. Psalm 92:14 teaches that the righteous will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green. This is a divine plan. God does not want the elderly to just wait for the end. He wants them to produce spiritual fruit. This fruit is not about hard physical work. It is about wisdom and good counsel. It includes prayer, discernment, and guiding the next generation. It is the testimony of a life kept by grace. Proverbs 16 verse 31 says gray hair is a crown of splendor. It comes from a life of righteousness. Age is not a curse. It is a badge of survival and a sign of wisdom. The modern world often ignores older people. Culture loves youth and speed. This makes the elderly feel pushed aside. However, later life is often the best time for reflection. Aging changes what a person values. It removes pride and grows gratitude. It makes the important things clear. The mind becomes more steady. Youth is a time to get experience and status. Old age is a time to distill those things. It is about what remains after years of tests. God often gives older people roles of influence instead of physical labor. An older heart sees life as a set of patterns. It sees how things end. It recognizes the long history of God's faithfulness. Older people can spot danger and see divine chances faster. They have lived through both wins and losses. Psychologists call this generativity. This is the drive to help the next generation. Scripture makes this a spiritual duty. Consider Anna, the prophetess. God kept her alive to announce the coming of the Messiah. Her age gave her prophetic authority. Moses was 120 when he led Israel. The people needed a leader who knew God's voice. Caleb was in his 80s when he showed the young warriors how to have faith without fear. Their age was the tool for their job. Many people live long lives for a reason. They are not kept alive for what they did when they were young. They are kept for what they must release now. God uses the wisdom of those over 60 to stabilize families and churches. Their stories have a weight that young people cannot match. Some people find their breakthrough because an elder prayed for them. Some find their way because of an elder's advice. Many strong spiritual warriors are quiet and unseen. They are the grandparents whose prayers hold a family together. They are the elders who anchor a community in faith. Heaven knows their value even when the world does not. Sometimes God is silent during the older years. People often mistake this for abandonment. Silence usually means God is preparing someone for a bigger task. Stillness often comes before a new assignment. This quiet phase is for positioning. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before he led Israel. Samuel lived through a time when God's word was rare. Jesus spent 30 years in silence before his ministry. Silence is not the end of a purpose. It is the prep work. When older people feel God is quiet, it is not a sign of being forgotten. It is alignment. God is moving them into a place of influence. This influence does not come from strength or speed. It comes from wisdom and presence. It is authority in the spirit. Psychology shows that as people age, they react less with emotion and feel more empathy. The brain shifts from building things to sharing things. God designed the aging brain for mentorship and legacy. If you are over 60, your life was not extended by accident. Your presence still matters on earth. You are not living in the shadow of your past. You are in the fullness of your time. Every tear and every battle shaped you. You are now a vessel that heaven can trust. God is not finished. You are entering the chapter you were made for. Your voice can answer prayers you started years ago. One sentence or one story can change someone's life. Your endurance is now your ministry. Your scars are your sermons. Your testimony is like oil for a young generation that needs wisdom. The years you thought were wasted are the years God will use to multiply. Aging is not a process of decline. It is a deployment of your strengths. Many people think age is a wall that stops them. In reality, it is a mantle of leadership. God kept you here because you carry something others need. Families need the stability that comes from your faith. When a home feels chaotic, your calm presence provides a base. Communities need the grounding that comes from your discernment. You can see traps that younger people miss because you have seen them before. A soul lost in confusion needs the wisdom you gathered from decades of walking with God. You act as a bridge between the past and the future. Do not believe the lie that fading strength means a fading purpose. Purpose does not depend on muscle or speed. It lives in the spirit. Your spirit is now richer and more anchored than ever. You are entering a season where your presence brings clarity and comfort. You will speak fewer words. Those words will have more weight. You might walk slower, but you walk with more authority. Your prayers can move things in the unseen world. Your wisdom can stop people from making life-altering mistakes. Your life proves that God preserves those He intends to use. You are not here because you outlived your time. You are here because your time has arrived. If you stayed until the end of this message, you are hungry for truth. You want to hear God's voice in this stage of life. You did not find this by accident. This word was meant for you or someone you love. Respond to this truth as an act of agreement. Comment the phrase, "My purpose is still alive." This declaration fights the lie that your best years are gone. Words have power. Writing them aligns your heart with the truth of heaven. If this message helped you, share it with someone over 60. Send it to a church friend or a family member. Many people wonder why God kept them alive. This reminder restores their confidence. Subscribe to the Walking with God channel to hear more teachings on wisdom and presence. This helps us build a community of believers who walk in revelation. You can also push this video to help it reach more people. If you want to support the ministry, you can become a member or use Super Thanks. These gifts help us keep producing high-quality teachings. The devotional titled "When God is Silent" is in the pinned comment. Use it if you have struggled with God's quietness in your later years. It helps you hear Him again. You are valued and seen. You are preserved for a reason. Keep walking with God.